You know that moment, that gut-wrenching moment when life knocks you flat on your back and everyone's watching? When your business fails, when your relationship ends, when the doctors say, I'm sorry, when you're sitting alone at 3 a.m. wondering if I've actually got what it takes to get back up one more time. That moment right there, it is not your breaking point. That is your PowerPoint. Welcome to Empowering Monday. I'm Crystal, and today we're going to get real about power. Not the fake kind that you see on social media, not the just think positive nonsense. I'm talking about the raw, unshakable power that builds in your gut when you realize something life-changing. Every single challenge that's trying to break you, it's actually building you. Let me tell you about my client, Sarah. 3 years ago, we were on a call while she was sitting in her car, crying in the parking lot after being passed over for promotion for the third time. She'd done everything right. She'd gotten the right certifications that she needed. She worked late. She said yes to every single project. She smiled through exhaustion. But there she was, feeling powerless, stuck, and completely disempowered. Now, today, Sarah runs her own consulting firm with 15 employees. But here's what's interesting. When I asked her what she thought was the tipping point in what actually changed, she said something truly profound. I didn't become more powerful. I just finally understood what power actually is. See, we've got it all wrong about power. We think it's something that we need to chase or something we need to earn, something that others can give or take away from us just as easy. But real power, it's not about what happens to you. It's about who you become because of what happens to you. Every single day, we face moments of choice. When that client says no, you have a choice. When that relationship falls apart, you have a choice. When your confidence is shattered, you have a choice. You can let it define you or you can let it refine you. But let me be clear. I'm not talking about toxic positivity here. This isn't about pretending everything's fine when it's not. That's inauthentic. This is actually about something much deeper, something authentic. I need to share with you something because some of you might be sitting in the exact same place where I once was, thinking that you've reached the end of your rope. I was 24, living in what seemed like the American dream. I had the house, the car, I was a loan officer, I was in a relationship that I actually thought would be forever. And you know that feeling that when you think you finally made it, that's actually how I felt in my early 20s. But life had other plans. It started like dominoes falling in slow motion. First, the market crashed. Not just dipped, I'm talking crashed. Overnight, my income vanished. The house that I had actually stretched to buy, worth half of what I owed. Every morning, I'd wake up to new foreclosures in my neighborhood, each one a reminder of what felt like inevitable. And then, without word, without warning, my partner of 5 years disappeared. 6 months of silence, 6 months of unanswered questions, 6 months of wondering, what did I do wrong? But life wasn't done with me yet. During one of the worst ice storms that our city has actually still ever seen to this day, I heard an insane crash outside. The sheet of ice that had built up on my roof, in that moment, chose to slide off and totaled my car in my own driveway. My only way to get to interviews and to actually rebuild, gone. The panic attacks that I had suffered from grew to be unbearable. That tightness in my chest, the racing heart. Soon I was literally popping tranquilizers every 4 hours as if they were Tylenol. My world shrunk in the space between my bed and my bedroom. And then came that night. The night when all of those losses, all of that pain, all of that isolation really just felt like it was too much to bear. The night I considered ending it all. But here's why I'm telling you this. Because in that moment, that dark, crushing moment when I thought I had nothing left, it wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. Because here's what I learned. When life strips everything away, you discover what life can't take from you. Your resilience, your core, your power to choose what's next. That 25-year-old who thought she lost everything, she didn't know she was in the middle of discovering everything that mattered. Every single piece that fell apart was making space for something stronger to be built. And today, when people ask me, well, where did you find that strength to rebuild? I tell them the truth. I didn't find it. I built it in the darkness, in the silence, in the moments when everything screamed, give up, but something deeper whispered, keep going. So if you're sitting there right now watching your own life unravel, feeling that same or similar darkness closing in, hear me. This is not your ending. This is your PowerPoint. This is where you discover what you're truly made of. Because sometimes you have to lose everything you thought you wanted to find everything you were meant to become. Now, let's break this down into something practical. There are many myths about power that are really keeping you stuck. And I'm going to speak to 3 of them. Myth 1, power means never feeling afraid. Truth. Power is feeling the fear and choosing your next move anyway, choosing to go through it because the only way past is through. Myth 2, power means knowing what to do. The truth. Power is being willing to figure it out as you go, to discover the way. Myth 3, power means never failing. Truth. Power is always failing. It's failing forward. It's learning and getting back up with new wisdom. Here's what I want you to understand. The size of your struggle isn't what breaks or makes you. It's the story you tell yourself in the middle of it. And right now, you might be telling yourself a disempowering story. You see, when everything fell apart for me, and not just in my 20s, I feel like everything falls apart every 10 years, everything. But I thought that I was being punished. I thought I was a failure. I thought I was alone. Those weren't just thoughts. They were experiences that were chains. They were heavier than the circumstances that I was facing themselves. But here's the truth that changed everything for me and is going to change everything for you. Your darkest moments aren't happening to you. They are happening for you. They are not here to punish you. They are here to prepare you for something so much bigger. Actually, something that you have been asking for. Every sleepless night is building your resilience. Every unanswered prayer is teaching you to stand on your own. Every time you think, I can't take anymore, and then somehow do, that's not survival. That is a supernatural strength being forged within you. I know right now it might feel like you're drowning. I get it. Like the weight of everything is too much. Like everyone else has it figured out while you're barely hanging on over here. But I need you to understand something. This chapter of your life has a title, and that title is not Where Everything Fell Apart. That title is This is Where I Discovered Who I Really Am. Because rock bottom, it's not where your dreams go to die. It's where your excuses go to die. It's where your fears go to die. It's where your old self goes to die so that your true self can finally emerge like the phoenix rising. I know this because I've lived it multiple times. That woman popping tranquilizers every 4 hours, crying on her bathroom floor and watching her life crumble before her. She didn't just survive. She became someone she never imagined she could be, not despite the struggles, but because of them. Now I'm grateful for them. And that is exactly what's happening to you. You're not just going through something, you're growing through something. You're not being destroyed. You are being reconstructed. Every time you ask for a new life experience, you need to become a person that is a match for that. It's the person who you become. Let me be clear. This moment, this battle that you're facing, it is not your devastation story. It is your origin story. And I'm here to help you write the next chapter. Now, let me show you exactly how to turn this understanding into unstoppable action. Let's get tactical here. There are really 2 parts, and I'm going to share what I call the power protocol. The exact steps to build that unshakable inner strength. This isn't just a theory, this is battle tested wisdom from working with hundreds of clients, not just myself. Right now, I want you to grab your phone or a piece of paper, and I want you to write down 3 moments in your life when you faced something very difficult and you came through it. Not just survived it, I'm talking you learned from it. And I want you to write down what you learned and how you've become better because of it. These are your power benchmarks. See, you've already built power. You just haven't been keeping track of it. Every challenge you face has deposited something valuable in your power account. The question is, are you making withdrawals from that account when you need them? Here's where it gets interesting. Power builds. So every morning, I want you to choose one small act of courage, not something huge. I'm not talking about go quit your job or necessarily go run a marathon. Even though if that's what you want to do, then do it. I'm not going to try to stop you. I'm talking about tiny, deliberate choices that stretch you out of your comfort zone. Maybe it is something like speaking up when you usually stay quiet. Maybe it's having a conversation that you've been avoiding. A lot of you avoid. Stop it. Have the conversation. Some of you don't like conflict. It doesn't have to be conflict. Have the conversation. Maybe it's simply acknowledging a fear out loud instead of trying to hide it or hold on to it yourself. There's so much power in that. But here's what most people miss about these moments of courage. They don't start in the meeting room. They don't start in the conversation. They start in silence. They start in solitude. Real power, the kind that can't be shaken by circumstances or other people's opinions, is not built in a crowd. It is built in solitude. Built in those moments when you finally silence all the voices telling you who you should be, what you should want, how you should feel, how you should act and behave. Think about it. Right now, you are bombarded with noise. Social media telling you what success looks like. Media telling you who to vote for and why. Family telling you what you should do and not do. Friends telling you how you should feel and not feel. Society telling you how to live. And underneath all of that noise, your own inner wisdom is trying to speak. That voice, you can call it your heart, your soul, God, the universe. That is where your real power lives. But here's the critical part that nobody talks about. You can't hear that voice in the chaos. You can't. You cannot connect with that power when you are constantly plugged into the world's frequency. You need to create a sacred space, time that is just for you to tune everything else out and tune into something bigger, something deeper, something that has been waiting for you to listen. You have just been ignoring it. I'm talking about building a personal practice. This is a non-negotiable. I'm not talking about a practice where you go once a year to some retreat or you go to church once a week. I'm not knocking these practices. They're great, but it is not going to be sufficient enough for you to actually tap into your power from a moment-to-moment basis, for you to distinguish what is that voice between the rest of the world's voice. It's not going to happen. What has to be done is build a sacred practice for yourself. Seriously, power, true power needs to be practiced over time. It's like going to the gym. You think that if you go to the gym once a year or even once a month, it's going to be sufficient to keep your body fit. It's not. You think that you can eat healthy just one time and you're going to be healthy for the rest of your life. It's not. True power needs to be practiced. Maybe it's daily meditation. Maybe it's daily prayer. And I'm not talking prayer as asking for a wish list of things for you. I'm talking about deep prayer where you are listening to that higher self, to God, to the universe. Maybe it's sitting in nature, or maybe it's journaling, or simply being still every day. The method isn't really what matters. That's not what matters at all. What matters is creating that space where you can finally hear your own truth above the world's noise. Because here's what I've learned in my darkest moments. When everything is falling apart, it wasn't the advice of others that saved me. It wasn't social media inspiration. It wasn't my closest friends. It was In the quiet moments when I finally stopped running, stopped distracting myself, stopped avoiding, stopped seeking outside validation, that I finally found my real power. This is what I call sacred isolation. Not the isolation of loneliness, but the isolation of intention, the kind that allows you to strip away everything that isn't truly yours and connect with something so much bigger than yourself, so much bigger than us all. You're not going to find your power in other people's opinions. My job as a coach is not for you to believe in me or do what I'm saying or do the things my way or how I've done it. It's to empower you to listen to yourself. I guide and hold space for you to go back to you. Only after you've built this foundation, this unmesswithable connection to your own inner source, your own power source, then and only then do you start building your outer circle. Because now you're operating from a place of power instead of seeking power from others. Now you're sharing strength instead of searching for it. So your first step isn't finding your tribe. It's not finding your partner. Nothing is going to complete you. You are already complete. It is understanding that, embodying that for yourself. It's building that sacred practice that lets you tune out the chaos and tune into your truth, because real power is not out there. It is in here. And it's been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. That is actually step one. Step two is after you hear it, you actually listen to it. Above everything else, you take action that's consistent with what you hear, even when it's scary, and even when there's no evidence to prove that you're going to be safe or that it's going to be possible. Maybe it goes against what the world even says, but that's later. That is step two. I just want you right now to start to listen to yourself. Go back to yourself. Create a daily practice that you can tune out the world and tune in to you and something bigger than you. Remember how we started this episode talking about how life knocks you down? Well, here's what I want you to take away. Your power story isn't about never falling. It's about what you chose to believe about yourself and what you chose to believe about the world every time you got back up. And starting right now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Life is happening now, not in the future. I want you to do something. I want you to take out your phone, open your notes apps, or take out your notebook and write down one sentence. My power grows with every challenge I face. This is not just a nice saying or a nice affirmation. This is your new truth to embody. Because starting today, you are not just surviving your challenges anymore. We are not surviving life. You're using them to build something extraordinary within yourself, to empower yourself. How amazing will it be for you to be sovereign for yourself? On your own, not needing anything or anyone to complete you, make you feel loved, make you feel appreciated, make you feel validated, because you come to the world already whole, perfect, and complete, already loved, already validated, already. Next week, I really want to hear your stories. Share them using hashtag EmpowerMeMonday and tell me, what challenges are you transforming into power right now? What do you choose? And remember, you're not just watching a show about empowerment here. You're writing your own power story. And I cannot wait to see how it unfolds. And until next Monday, keep building your power. You've got this.